I never thought the man I had trusted for 23 years would become the reason my entire life fell apart. The night I found out what my husband had done, I was sitting alone in my car outside a grocery store in Seattle, staring at my phone while my hands shook uncontrollably. My daughter Emma had just called me in tears because her university informed her that her tuition payment had never arrived. That didn't make any sense. For nearly 18 years, I had worked overtime shifts, skipped vacations, and saved every extra dollar into a college fund that was supposed to secure her future. There should have been more than enough money, but when I logged into the account, the balance showed almost zero. At first, I thought it was some kind of banking mistake. Then I saw a series of withdrawals made over the previous 8 months. Every transaction had been authorized by one person, my husband, David. What happened over the next few days uncovered secrets I never imagined existed, and by the end of it, our family would never be the same again. My name is Sarah, and until that moment I believed I had a happy marriage. David and I met in college and built our lives together from nothing. We bought a small house, worked hard, and raised our daughter Emma with everything we had. We weren't wealthy, but we were proud of what we had built. Emma was our world. She had recently been accepted into one of her dream universities, and we were all excited about her future. Looking back, I can see the warning signs I ignored. David had become distant over the past year. He started taking more business trips and became protective of his phone. Whenever I asked him what was wrong, he always had an explanation. I trusted him completely. After more than 2 decades together, why wouldn't I? But trust can make you blind. Sometimes the people closest to us are hiding the biggest secrets, and I was about to learn that lesson in the most painful way possible. The next morning, I visited our bank and requested detailed records of every withdrawal. What I found made me feel physically sick. More than $80,000 had disappeared. The money hadn't been lost in one transaction. It had been moved slowly over months, almost as if someone hoped I would never notice. When I asked where the funds had gone, the bank couldn't reveal the recipient's identity. On my way home, David finally called. His voice sounded nervous. He told me we needed to talk later and refused to explain anything over the phone. That evening, I placed the bank statements on the kitchen table and waited. When he walked through the door, he immediately knew why I was angry. At first, he claimed he had invested the money in a business opportunity. Then he changed his story. Then he claimed he was trying to protect our future. None of it made sense. While he was talking, a text message appeared on his phone screen. I wasn't trying to look, but I couldn't ignore what I saw. The message read, "When are you coming back? The kids miss you." My heart stopped. I asked him who had sent the message. David instantly grabbed his phone and refused to answer. For nearly an hour, we argued. Finally, he admitted there was another woman. Hearing those words felt like being hit by a truck. But that wasn't the worst part. He told me he had been involved with her for almost 4 years. 4 years. While we were celebrating birthdays, holidays, and family milestones, he had been living a second life. I couldn't understand how someone could lie for so long. Then he revealed something even worse. The woman had 2 children, and although they weren't biologically his, he had been helping support them financially. The college fund money hadn't gone into a business. It had gone to supporting his secret family. I remember feeling completely numb. My anger disappeared and was replaced by shock. Everything I thought I knew about my husband suddenly felt like a lie. That night, I barely slept. Emma came home and immediately noticed something was wrong. Telling her the truth was one of the hardest conversations I've ever had. She listened quietly while tears rolled down her face. She wasn't upset about the money at first. She was devastated by the betrayal. David wasn't just her father. He had been her hero. Seeing that image shatter broke her heart. For the first time in her life, she refused to answer his calls. The next few weeks were chaos. David moved out of the house and into an apartment. Friends and relatives started learning the truth. Some people supported me, while others insisted there had to be more to the story. But there wasn't. The facts were simple. My husband had stolen from our daughter's future to maintain a secret life behind our backs. Every day brought a new painful realization about how much deception had existed inside our marriage. A month later, I received an unexpected phone call from the woman David had been seeing. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. To my surprise, she sounded upset. She explained that David had lied to her too. According to her, he had claimed that he and I were already separated. He never told her about the college fund. In fact, she had no idea where the money came from. As we talked, I realized something shocking. She wasn't the villain I had imagined. She had been manipulated just like I had. She genuinely believed David was building a future with her. By the end of the call, both of us were in tears. We were two women whose lives had been damaged by the same man's lies. It was one of the strangest conversations I've ever had, but it changed my perspective completely. A few months later, reality finally caught up with David. The woman left him after discovering the truth. Several friends cut ties with him. His relationship with Emma was practically non-existent. Most importantly, he faced legal consequences during our divorce proceedings. The judge wasn't impressed by what had happened to the college fund. David was ordered to repay a significant portion of the missing money through the division of assets. It wasn't enough to erase the damage, but it helped. For the first time in months, I felt a small sense of justice. Emma also surprised me. Instead of letting the situation destroy her future, she applied for scholarships, worked part-time, and refused to give up on her education. Watching her fight through the pain made me incredibly proud. 2 years passed. Life slowly improved. Emma was thriving at university, and I had rebuilt much of my confidence. Then one afternoon, I received a phone call from David. I hadn't spoken to him in months. His voice sounded different, older, tired, defeated. He told me he had lost his job and was struggling financially. Then he asked if we could meet. Against my better judgment, I agreed. When we sat across from each other in a small coffee shop, I barely recognized him. The confident man I had once known was gone. He apologized repeatedly for everything he had done. He admitted that his lies had cost him almost every meaningful relationship in his life. For a moment, I actually felt sorry for him. But sympathy isn't the same as forgiveness. As we finished talking, David asked whether there was any chance our family could ever be whole again. I looked at him and realized something important. The answer wasn't mine to give. Some actions leave scars that never fully disappear. Trust takes years to build and only moments to destroy. I told him I hoped he would find peace and become a better person, but the life we once shared was gone forever. When I walked out of that coffee shop, I felt lighter than I had in years. The chapter that had caused so much pain was finally over. Today, Emma has graduated from university and built a successful career. She is happy, independent, and stronger than either of us ever imagined. As for me, I learned that sometimes the worst betrayal can lead to the greatest growth. Losing the life I thought I had forced me to discover who I really was. If you're listening to this story and facing a betrayal of your own, remember this. Someone else's dishonesty does not define your future. The people who break your heart may change your path, but they don't get to decide where that path ends. In the end, the person who truly rebuilt our family wasn't David. It was Emma, and watching her succeed became the greatest victory of my life.